Well, Malcheski, it was a beautiful kick around the body. One of Sydney's 6 goals in the opening term, and Buddy Franklin, pretty reasonable start for the big buddy in game 200. 5 disposals, 5 marks, and 3 goals won. Who knows what's possible today. Kieran Jack on world record pace, absolute world record pace, with 14 disposals, and Buddy Franklin with the 3 goals alongside his name. Jude, you're probably a little jealous that you never got to play with a big buddy now.
Yeah, I don't think I probably would have got the tap on the shoulder and wouldn't fit in this this forward line. But no, certainly he's been such a coup for the Sydney Swans, and I think you know, from all accounts, he's just fit in very well, and the guys just seem to love him.
Well, word is they fit him in the salary cap by getting rid of you, Jude. Well, not getting rid of you.
It was a cavernous hole I left in the salary cap.
Yeah. Selfless, Bolton, always been selfless.
Yeah, and getting rid of you was clearly a club legend. Inviting you to consider the next stage of your career.
Just keep digging, Baz, that's the way.
It must be terrific, though, to see them in full flight. I mean, I suppose your mind goes to that last Saturday in September and thinking, well, what if they're there again and I'm not a part of it?
Oh, no, that's part of footy, though. I think you always have that competitive attitude and love to be out there competing. But, no, I'm enjoying being on the other side of the fence now and enjoying it.
Alan Richardson is the coach of the St Kilda team. He's had his hands full today. He's also had his mouth full with the pen lids, and he's with Mark McVeigh.
Alan, 13-3 clearances Sydney's way, something you must fix up.
Yeah, we just got to get the ball going our way. I mean, we look incredibly vulnerable when they get it deep on us, and it's going to be a hard day if we don't win some clearance.
Buddy Franklin's kicked 3 goals, had 4 shots on goal. Do you still stay with Sam Gilbert?
Oh, look, it depends on where he is, but clearly he was taking Gilbo deep to the goal square, and he's a bigger bloke, so no, we'll go with Delaney when it's deeper.
Good on you, mate. Thanks.
Good on you, Mark. Thank you. Vulnerable, I think, the key word there, and the coaches identified it. They did look vulnerable, didn't they?
And he also made mention that the ball's won at the stoppage, obviously, so they need to tidy up around the clearances.
So it's Sydney by 32 points at home in Buddy Franklin's 200th game, and 3 in the opening term for him. And Teddy Richards just peeling off and taking the Stephen kick pretty easily.
Maverick Weller's got the job on Kieran Jack down there. He looks like he's got the arm across and really wants to tighten up after those 14 possessions.
So Grundy to Biggs, they run it broadcast side again. Gilbert drifting back and takes a good mark. He's on Tippett here at the moment. And Delaney is with Buddy when he's back. So as the coach forecast, we're going to see a bit more of that. And Fisher short. Stephen. So would you like to see them more patient like this, Tom? They bring the ball to Weller here, or really take it on?
I think you try to take the game on, but it looks like they're adopting a more one-on-one game style across the ground, and therefore if it's one-on-one, you're going to have to be patient because there aren't going to be free players to kick the ball to.
Richards to Goods to Jeddah, and cruising past is Biggs, and the kick is a good one, and Cunningham, who got plenty of speed himself. What a fast pair they are, Cunningham and Jeddah, and guess who? Buddy onto the chest.
I think the patient build-up's okay, but you don't have to always go long down the line, and that's work off the ball inside, look for those short 45s and try and open up and slice the Swans up that way.
Had a bit of space on Fisher there, didn't he? And the kick was absolutely perfect. And they move the ball quickly again, makes it so easy for the leading forwards. So Buddy Franklin has attempt number 2 on his 4th goal for the afternoon. He kicks from right on the 50, Buddy. It's a funny old kick off the boot, but he's kicked the goal. Buddy's got 4.
Well, here's the chopper from 51 metres that just clears the pack right there, just over the hands. But Buddy Franklin has now got 4 goals won. He's taken 6 marks as well.
Artistic measure got 0 score, but the result was terrific. Pike out of the middle, almost a mark for Tippett. Jack there as well. Gilbert under pressure. Jack goes again. Handball backwards to Lloyd. Down to Buddy Franklin. Wrestling with him is Delaney. It's going the other way.
Well, that change has been made. Sam Gilbert has come off Buddy Franklin, and Sam Fisher's got onto him. He's come off with the blood rule, and he's being attended to on the boundary right now.
Bit of a smile from Buddy Franklin. Pike, oh, that's a clever mark. And hit the ground running it back to Buddy.
Who'd want to play fullback?
It is coming in ridiculously quick at this stage, and when Mike Park's able to mark, play on, and just hit a little low dart inside 50, you know you're very vulnerable in defensive area.
Well, the helicopter got the job done last time. He steps inside. Is he really on? Well, I think he is, but just offline that time. That's his second behind. 4 goals, 2 for Buddy Franklin, and Sydney's lead, the blink of an eye, out to 39 points. Former key defender, Tom. Get shaky on days like this.
Absolutely you are.
Savage kicks to himself. And Rowan, not quite.
What it does highlight, though, I mean, Buddy Franklin, we all know, is a once-in-a-generation type player, but you're so much at the mercy of your teammates up the ground. To Jude's point, for Mike Pike to take a mark, play on, and hit an uncontested ball, it's just not good enough.
Pike again. Delaney. It was Armitage, in fact, handballing. He missed Stephen. Well done by Parker. Now Malcheski. Parker again. Good tackle from behind by Saunders. So they are trying to run it. The Saints. Stephen got caught in the tackle by Cunningham. The ball went sideways as a result to Nunes. Towers it was doing the chasing, and Kennedy's off for the moment, which is interesting. The long kick, though, not a good one from Farron Ray, and Richards just peels off easily.
He's off for good, Baz. He's been subbed.
Well, let's get down to Mark. That's a really big story right there, Mark McVeigh.
Yeah, absolutely. He's sitting right at the back of the bench, which is never a good sign with the vest on and got the ice on. So that is a big, big blow for the Sydney Swans.
1 metre. The last 2 times he played St Kilda on this ground, he's collected 3 Brownlow medal votes, 6 from his last 2 outings against the Saints at the SCG. But, gee, that's a huge story with potentially massive ramifications.
Massive story, and I think especially this time of year when every team is just the race for the top 2, but also finals are just around the corner. We'll wait to see how it is.
He looks dejected there too, doesn't he? Armitage, bottom of that pack. Is he making an attempt?
The other player that is having a lot of consultation with the doctors, as you can see there, is Craig Bird. He's certainly not sure about his movement, neither are the doctors, so he's another one that could be in serious doubt for the rest of the game.
Jack got the ball moving to Tippett. That was brilliantly done by Tippett, just reaching over the top. Armitage got it from Savage, and now the clearing kick is going to be okay. They've worked the ball through a few sets of hands out towards the wing, and Gilbert trying to mark the footy. The Armitage kick, not ideal. Revolt goes backwards to Ray. Again, not a good one. Dempster over the footy back to Revolt. Not sure that he really wanted it there. Richards carried forward and the ball over the line. Well, what's interesting about the scenes on the Sydney bench is Kennedy just sitting on his own and no one really even attending to him.
Yeah, they've just given him the red vest and just let him alone. So that must, yeah, that tells you it's not good at all.
Weller ducked his head.
And Baz, it's a bit of a casualty ward down here. Montagna's come off the ground with a dislocated finger in a lot of pain.
And what do we think it is with Kennedy? I know, Spike, I'm putting you on the spot here. It's not easy to say, and you're not exactly sitting right on the bench, but your best guess at the moment?
I think it's a hamstring, boys.
Well, if it's a minimum of 3, right through the hands of Jeddah, Hayes, Stanley, Stephen, back to Stanley. A high ball, Gwilt. Well, it won't quite get there. That was a good attempt to mark by Armitage. Schneider, he knows this ground. He knows the angles. Can he finish? No.
They have brought the goals in a little bit since Adam Schneider last played for the Swans, but no, should have got a result there.
I think we're all reeling at the moment, aren't we, Jude? That news of Kennedy, and gee, if it's a hamstring.
Yeah, if it is a hamstring, it's you know, obviously a 3-week minimum generally, and you're looking at first final. That's when you're looking at getting back onto the ground. So we'll wait and see exactly what it is. But I mean, the telltale sign at the moment is just the fact that 25 tackles to 15 as well. When you haven't had the footy for St Kilda,
It looked like a pretty big ice pack. We could just see the top of the.
On the left string was the Baz?
Yeah, the plastic tape that they used to put around it. So it looks like the left hammy, doesn't it? The other big impact that has is on Brownlow medal betting, obviously. second favourite behind Selwood. McVeigh goes long. Gee, that's a really good mark. Will it be paid to Bird? Gilbert, well, was in and out, but Bird's got the mark, and even more importantly, he's back out on the ground. It was right, in fact, up in front.
It's the 29th entry for the Swans going forward. It was a long, deep kick. Once again, a lack of pressure. Jared McVeigh, ball in hand, is deadly. Good mark from Craig Bird, and he's hit the post.
Become a bit contagious. Sydney's lead back to 39 points. 7-5 plays 1-2. Savage, long kick. Pike again. He's playing a really good game. Laidler. Now Grundy. Got nothing really to go to. He wanted to go back inboard. He goes down the line instead to Laidler. And Laidler's kick, a bit of an outswinger. Did it hit the line? Just
inside. There is a bit of hush around the ground with the vision of Josh Kennedy with the red vest on, so there'll be absolutely no risk taken by the Sydney Swans coaching staff, obviously today, and I would suspect in the next couple of weeks with their prime movers. But some opportunities will then present themselves. We've got Biggs playing and Towers playing, obviously comes on for a run in the second quarter. Then you start to look at the depth through the NEFL with Tom Mitchell and Ryan O'Keefe playing through the middle of the ground there.
Hold again.
Saw a very entertaining curtain raiser, didn't we, in the NEFL? It was GWS, their reserves against the Sydney reserves, and a one-point ball game.
Plenty of talent on offer both of those sides. Yeah, there's some real development in both of those areas.
Armitage's disposal, we know he's such a goer, not always clean, and that one straight to Grundy, and now to Cunningham, the long kick and climbing over the top. That was well done. I thought he might have touched it before when Bird marked, but Nathan Wright again getting up high and knocking the ball over the line.
Well, they've got that loose player back now, and it works exceptionally well when the Swans can get long to the contest. They just need to get back to lying their eyes and hitting up the target.
So Weller did well that time to Armitage, but the kick again coming out not good, and McVeigh's got it. There's a lot of space to lead into, and a whole heap of it right there for Lloyd.
Yeah, when you've even got that many blokes back, it just, the ability of the Swans to just have enough time with ball in hand to just find that space, feed the leader straight into that position right there. Jake Lloyd has been very impressive since coming onto the elevated early on in the year.
They kicked 6 goals in the opening term, the Sydney Swans. They've done well, St Kilda, to hold them to just 1 for the term so far. This for the second for Sydney. It's bang on target, and their lead is 45 points.
Just watch all this space here, Jude. I mean, you see Jake Lloyd come into it. You see the 3 St Kilda defenders. It's Armitage, Dempster, Delaney and Fisher. As the loose player, you've got to get into the space. You can't play goal side like that. Goalkeeper just exposes your fellow defenders.
So Weller gets it from Hayes, sends it long. Gwilt, he's in good position here. Richards, a tough man to beat. Look how many he had to beat Gwilt when the ball hit the deck. It was 3-on-1 and brilliantly played by the Sydney defence. And the ball now kicked out in Jeddah's direction. Rampy's kick was spot on. Jeddah's not bad. Lloyd, who kicked the last goal, takes it and keeps running. And out in front of Cunningham. The speedsters again at either end of the ground. Back to McVeigh. Well played, and this is when they're at their most dangerous, when they're bringing the ball in quickly, although they're held up by their own lateral movement. A touch. Lloyd got it. Now Reid, the target long. Had it fisted away. Here's Fisher. Could have come longer to Weller. Instead goes short to Dempster. Now Weller was on for a moment. Great lead by Nick Riewoldt. He led about 120 metres to get that, and the kick to Stevens, superb. And Rowan, well, he was right there. Yeah, he did. He was right there if Stephen kept going, and Stephen cleverly sensing he's not the bloke to take on.
Just mass numbers behind the balls. There's Laidley, you just see him at the very top of screen. Ted Richards also. Jared McVeigh sitting back, and Lloyd.
Riewoldt's kick not ideal. Couple of players down. Schneider, meantime, from inside the centre square. It's a bouncing ball back towards the line. It clears it. Behind only.
And Tom, you mentioned those players getting back for the Swans, but the great thing about their defence and their midfield, they hand over, they don't crisscross, and they hand over and make sure that they get there.
McVeigh, like he was kicking to his former teammate in Schneider, but he didn't have enough on it, and Rampy, as the custodian, finds Lloyd. A long kick for Reid, and they're away here again, the Sydney Swans. Who's on? Oh, excellent tackle, well done. Really good tackle at the back. Nunes got him. And the ball comes back inside 50, and Schneider marking.
Slow to get up and a bit proppy also, Sam Reid. For
Armitage, and now Gwilt.
Just a sensational chase down tackle though from Jack Nunes, and he's having a wonderful year. Then quick transfer of play, a really good entry. Here we see it here. Just Sam Reid just looked a little bit sore with that left knee.
Metre, please. 1 metre. Thank you.
Well, to say they need this, a massive understatement. Just the 5 goals for James Gwilt in his 15 games this year, and he's got St Kilda's second, and they get it back to under 40 points.
Here's a good strong mark. The conversation between Teddy Richards and a bit of the ruffle of the hair from Schneider to Richards was, don't dive, Ted. Just play it out.
So up it goes again. Sydney's lead is 38 points. They've been ferocious and hard at the football. And Lloyd's work across to Hanbury was really good then. Well done by Saunders, though. Just got in the road. Had the footy a moment right. Stephen back to right. High ball. Good matchup, this one. Grundy was there with Revolt, and just drifting in to take a very good mark was Rampy. Well done. Back to Richards at the feet of Jeddah, and then socket off the ground. Was it Armitage who got a fair piece of it? They got a lot of the football. It's back to the goal square, just not enough on it. And Rampy, well, we saw one brilliant soccer and then a very poor soccer, but both of them, well, the first one with not quite enough and the second with just enough.
We spoke about, Tom, that St Kilda need to get on top of the coalface. In this quarter alone, 6-4 in the clearances. So Alan Rich will be really pleased with that they've tried to get back on top in that area.
Rampy to Parker. The kicking's just dropped off a little bit from the Sydney Swans in the last 5 or 10 minutes as well. Pike took a good mark on half-back. Tippett's the target. He's got 2 to beat. Dempster just drifting in. I guess the other thing with Josh Kennedy going down, we've talked about the potential impact on Sydney's finals campaign, obviously the Brownlow medal, but the other point which we mentioned at the start of the broadcast, 127 consecutive matches today. It may well be that that run comes to an end. Meanwhile, Towers, he'd love a goal back in the team. Just offline.
And Jude, touching on Kennedy, who's his likely replacement? I know Keith's been in good form in the NEAFL, but he hasn't been able to get a game. Is he the likely choice to come straight in for him, or is there another younger player waiting in the wings?
Well, I guess probably from the Swans management view, it's probably looking at guys like Tom Mitchell, Benny McGlynn still to come back in. He's been playing through the midfield. And one of the young guys who we've seen this year probably get in front of Ryan is probably Zach Jones as well. So there's those sort of inside tough midfielders.
Revolt, the long kick. Gilbert now having a run on the forward line. He's got Rowan to negotiate. He does so with a handball to Montagna. Saunders breaking for him. Adam Goods right there, and well done by the champs. Adam Goods, game 346 today. Now 21 clear. Tom, of our co-commentator Jude Bolton, who finished on 325. All-time Sydney games played record holder, and if he plays the last 2 home and away and 3 finals, he'll go past Dougie Hawkins on 350 into outright 13th all-times games played. Hanbury.
Hi, Sydney, Sydney, Sydney.
He was hard at it, Dan Hanbury, and deserved to win that free kick.
Play on. Play on.
So Malcheski with a bounce through the middle. He sizes it up and says, well, I might go long here. He probably didn't read that situation that well. Dempster just peeling back. Might have known it was coming. And Montagna marks.
Play on. You.
Saunders. Good kick to Farron Ray, who can run. He's got Mike Pike in front of him. And then Revolt short, and he goes that way. And now Gwilt is the only man for St Kilda inside the 50. And again, he's got 3 Swans to negotiate. Farron Ray did well. Adam Goods was coming with a fist. He didn't quite get there. Handball for Stephen. Montagna back to the boundary line, and Stephen not enough on that one. No distance. Ross, Hanbury, Grundy, Rampy, and Biggs. And that was big from the Sydney Swans. Gee, they played that well. Adam Goods on the end of it. Don't think he moved from where the ball was attempting to spoil away, and it was missed by Teddy Richards. Then bad luck. Dempster, Savage, and now Weller.
It's opened up on both sides, to be honest. The Swans aren't putting as much pressure on now. Jack Stevens up to 11 disposals this quarter alone.
Well done by Laidler. Didn't quite complete the mark. And Gilbert had it smothered across the boot. Lloyd farmed the ball inside. A couple of touches, and it's going to end up with McVeigh. Kick from Rampy's a beauty. Cunningham's got it. Well, it's opened up a little bit. The skill level's just dropped a little bit too from both sides, hasn't it?
Yeah, I reckon the intensity's just dropped off enough, and that's when sometimes the skills just drop a little bit.
So Tippett couldn't mark. McVeigh kept going. Long down to the pocket, and Bird, who's already taken a good mark and finished with a goal, and now Adam Goods. The race is on. He gets there first. Bird the target. Buddy coming late. Dempster was up in front. It's not over yet. Buddy's still alive in the contest. It's a careless kick really around the body. Weller. Now Schneider inside defensive 50. And Goods, who hasn't moved far in the last couple of minutes, gets it again.
Picked up a couple of disposals. It's really keepies off at the moment. Both sides having a player behind the ball, and if the Swans can utilise and kick it more effectively, they'll end up with a goal.
Lloyd's kick was a good one, down towards the pocket. Parker couldn't quite mark, coming hard at it. Tippett. It's an interesting handball. Parker again. Hanbury might find a way through here. He kicks back towards the square, and well fisted away by Stanley.
One of the matchups we spoke about was Maverick Weller on Kieran Jack after those 14 disposals. Kieran Jack's only had the 3 this quarter, so a good effort from him.
Yeah, it's been a good win, hasn't it?
Tippett with a couple to beat, but down in the Buddy direction. Buddy might like it from here! Into the post. Degree of difficulty on that is very, very high.
Thundered into the post too.
Nearly broke the post, didn't he? Buddy now with 4-3 for the afternoon. Stanley. Fisher's got it on defensive 50. They bring the ball broadcast side. That's a terrible kick. Over the top of Nick Revolt. Grundy, Parker, and now Biggs. He kicks, well, almost perfectly. And in the end, I think the fact that he'd planted the feet, Tippett, meant he couldn't just back and mark it.
Got enough body work as well there, but Sam Fisher just had to lower the eyes and just hit that target. Just the turnovers are very costly against good teams like the Swans.
So they're in a dangerous attacking position again. Schneider, Hayes, Fisher. This kick better this time, and Nunes marks.
Back on the line, thank you. Cheers. Play on now.
So again, they do want to take the game on. Gee, that's a dangerous one to Farron Ray, although it had excellent penetration, the kick. Stanley breaking. We know he's a good runner. He needs it to sit. Reed chasing. He moves it on quickly, and Gilbert marks in front of Rampy. Now, there's not much on. Gwilt's caught behind, and that was brilliantly done to smother across the body.
The chemistry of the Swans' backs is fantastic. You've got, on that occasion, Laidler, Rampy working in tandem. Ted Richards and Heath Grundy know exactly when to roll off their direct opponents and swap opponents. It's just chemistry build up over time, and supreme confidence in your midfielders that they're going to put pressure on the ball coming into the defensive 50.
Oh, that was clever from Adam Goods, wasn't it? He did it really well. Rather than take it, he went with a clean ball out of the air. Wright's kick terrific. Fisher kept running. The chase, brilliant from Buddy. He affected the kick, but it got to Curran. Well done by Buddy Franklin, and well done by Fisher, who obviously has been under a bit of pressure himself with his disposal. And Revolt on the end of it, this time not quite. Grundy seemed to fall over him. The umpire doesn't pay the free kick, and Malcheski Back heel, out of bounds on the full.
Yeah, just there. May have been across the line. Nick Riewoldt just works so hard, and I mean, it reminds me of Richo when Richo was playing for the Tigers in sides near the foot of the ladder, and would just work and work and work, but the skill level of his teammates would let him down. And he is an absolute inspiration to his team, I would have thought, Nick Riewoldt.
Nick doesn't show the frustration quite as much as Richo, does he?
I think he still gave the eyes to Tommy Curran there, don't worry.
Schneider with a long ball, and again 3-on-1 with Sydney, and at the front of that pack is Nick Riewoldt.
You're seeing Gary Rowan sort of slide back pretty quickly as well, and I think he's enjoyed that sort of defensive role. He can use his pace and skill, sort of like a Winderlick in that sense as well.
He's looked better the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? Obviously had a fair stint the reserves team through the middle of the ground, and has had to work really hard for his spot in the side, both for fitness and form. Could be a valuable contributor.
Adam Goods to Cheddar. Sorry, Tommy. And now Hanbury. And Tippett is breaking for him, but gee, looks in a bit of pain here, Hanbury. No, up now. We'll keep an eye on him. Buddy Franklin to Tippett. He's just struggling to get his balance at the moment, Hanbury. Tippett, meantime, goes long in the Rowan direction, and Rowan marks above his head. That was a good grab.
More of a concern about the health of the Swans players at the moment, the way they're playing, I would have thought, from the Swans hierarchy. It looks like it might be a hip pointer for Dan Hanbury, watching him from the stands where we're at the moment. His ankle looks okay, so it might have just got the hip pointer.
It's been an interrupted season. He did miss the 6 weeks with that ankle injury.
So Rowan hasn't scored so far this afternoon. Well, he has now. That's his 9th disposal for a behind, and Sydney's lead 40 points. So they've done pretty well, St Kilda. 32 points was the lead at quarter time, and they've kept it to 40 with less than a minute to play.
Yeah, that's a knock. His ankle looks okay, doesn't it? Yeah, they're not much fun. And when he cools down after the game, probably at about sort of 2 a.m. tonight, when he's lying in bed,
it'll seize up.
It'll seize up.
Delaney went short to Stevens. There's time for another goal, probably more likely to the left of screen than the right. Just 2 goals for the Sydney Swans. So, Jude, given the chemistry they had going in the opening term, they're probably disappointed a little with this output in this term.
Oh, definitely. I think St Kilda have definitely broken even around those stoppages, and around those inside 50s have still been a big discrepancy, but a much better performance from St Kilda. 2-5
in this term, and just wonder if that ball's a little greasy. Players from both sides, the longer the game's gone on, the harder they've found to keep it cleanly in their hands. And Schneider's kick to Pike, not a good one. Pike goes long to Franklin, over his head. It was well done by Dempster at the back to Farron Ray, and now Fisher with 4 seconds left on the clock. So that should do the scoring for the game. And St Kilda with a better term, but that's the big story of the opening half. It was Buddy Franklin and his explosive start to the game, but the focus has shifted to Josh Kennedy, that left hamstring with very heavy strapping. The ramifications are significant. Sydney have the game in control, though. 8-8, 56. St Kilda 2-4-16. It's the Swans by 40 points at the half.
Coming up at half-time on Saturday Arvo Footy, we'll review a big half of football and catch up with the brothers Kieran and Brandon Jack. Talk about footy and their famous father.
We just thought that we were all going to follow him, all play fullback for Australia at the same time. Yeah, we all thought we were going to do it.
So Sydney by 40 points at half-time. The game very much in their control. Two big storylines really though to start the game. The first of them was the outstanding form of Buddy Franklin. He slowed a little in that third term. He had 3 goals, 1 in the opening term, 4-3 at half-time. But the other big story is the injury to Josh Kennedy, one of the big favourites for the Brownlow medal and obviously one of the driving forces behind the Swans. We'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment though, Tom, but we were excited early, weren't we? We were up and about and so was Buddy Franklin.
He was fantastic. He was drawing the ball. It's his 200th game, obviously, and he does have a knack of playing well in big moments. And Gilbert actually started on Franklin. I thought that was a bit of a mismatch. Delaney went to tip it, but Lance was drawing the ball. He was kicking the ball well. St Kilda tidied their work up around the stoppage in the second quarter, which probably not only, I guess, dried up the supply in the second quarter, but it wasn't coming in as smoothly as it was in the first, but he's the focal point up front. He's got 4 at half-time. He's still on target for a big bag and put some space and some yardage on Jared Roughhead, perhaps at the top of the Coleman medal tally.
Absolutely, yeah. He dropped a couple of, well, easy marks after having done all the hard work in the opening term, so it could have been more. But in some ways we got distracted, didn't we? Because in amongst all of that, Josh Kennedy, after a slowish start where they appeared to be keeping a bit of an eye on the left hamstring, well, it went from slow to bad because then he was subbed out of the game.
And there was a lull on and a bit of a hush around the ground when it came up on the big screen that Josh Kennedy had the red vest on. It looks, I mean, he's clearly injured himself. There isn't one of those classic grab at the hamstrings when he's running at full tilt or bending down to pick up the ball, so precautionary perhaps. Went to the back of the box, which is never a good sign. He's heavily strapped there with the compression bandage around his left hamstring, so he will be treated accordingly. There are a few other injury hiccups for the Swans with Bird, and Hanbury also looked a bit lame, so that's probably causing the coaching staff as much headache as their form in the second quarter. But fingers crossed for the Swans fans that Kennedy will be all right in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you'd have to think he'll miss a couple at least. His 127th consecutive match, that sequence dating back to round 14, 2009. But be that as it may, the Swans lead St Kilda by 40 points at half-time at the SCG. Saturday footy's pretty good, and we reckon Sunday footy's going to be fantastic tomorrow as well.
Sunday at 10, the Stars are out on game day as Nick Natanui, Jimmy Bartell, Nick Maxwell, Steele Sidebottom and Chad Corns headline another big show. On Footy Flashbacks, we remember the playing and coaching career of a footy icon. Then it's time for Sheed's Giants to take centre stage when they clash with the D's. And in WA, the Dockers and the Hawks meet in a heavyweight title bout. Lock the dial on 7, your home for Sunday footy.
We're back at the SCG. It is half-time and it's the Sydney Swans by 40 points. Their co-captain having an excellent game. Kieran Jackie's a wonderful player and he's part of a special AFL sequence. That's a special number, the 24. That's how many sets of brothers there are in the AFL. And we had the rare opportunity to catch up with the Jack brothers, sons of Gary Jack, rugby league legend.
Dad, he played top-level football until he was 35. So he went to England for 4 years and played over there, and Brandon was born over there. He was the idol, I think. He was what we looked to, and we just thought that we were all going to follow him. All play fullback for Australia at the same time. Yeah, we all thought we were going to do it. He'll reminisce a bit, he will, especially on the State of Origin time. He'll get his jumper out, won't he, and walk around the house and tell everyone how good he was. We were very competitive, all three of us. Certainly between myself and Reece, there's 2 years difference. Just very much trying to outdo one another. And then when Brandon started to get to 7 and 8, he became punching bag, the tackle bag. Still waiting to get my time to get him back. But I think he probably toughened me up a little bit from that young age. Reece went to Sri Lanka recently with, I think, the De La Salle Foundation. He went over and did some work in some schools there, helped build some houses, and he's shown us some photos and he's told us some stories about what it was like over there and how it's impacted him. I think it's changed how he views life. He doesn't take anything for granted, and it's a great experience that he shared with us. My school gave out a scholarship in Year 12 to one of the high achieving students. Luckily enough, I got it, which meant I could get into whatever course I really wanted. Chose a media and law course, which I'm doing at the moment, and just ticking that off the field, which keeps me occupied, and it's just good to keep busy. I was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 13. Mum was great with me throughout that, I mean, and Dad as well. They didn't say it'd stop me from doing anything, although probably 10 years ago, doctors might have thought you can't play sport. I think Brett Stewart from Manly was told that he couldn't play rugby league anymore, but he got through it, and that motivated me a bit. You know, to see him come from where he was and a lot of people said he probably wouldn't make it in the game, and that special moment of being told that you're going to get a first AFL game is special enough as it is, but for me to be able to present it to him, it was very special.
He grabbed me from the lunchroom up top and he just said, "John's angry at you," or something like that. And I kind of knew something was up, so sat down in the boardroom, which was pretty intimidating. Just them two in front of me, but just said, you're getting your first senior game, and I think I was in a bit of shock. I can't remember what I said. I might have said that's awesome or something pretty blunt like that. I think we might have had a bit of a hug or something, but yeah, it was a great moment.
Today, Sydney debut the brother of skipper Kieran Jack, Brandon.
And Jack to Jack. He's got his brother Brandon. Goal square. First goal in AFL footy. Thanks, brother.
I think there might be almost a subconscious connection there.
We run to the same spots a fair bit, but maybe that's because I just watch Kieran. Whenever I'd come watch him play, I just watch what he was running, and maybe that's just embedded in my brain as when I'm out there.
Yeah, it's funny when I see him up the ground, I can almost sense I know what he's going to do. Maybe because I know how he wants to play the game. There is that connection out there, I think.
It's a great story, isn't it? And a very Sydney story. Brandon out of the team just at the moment, but Kieran, well, 18 disposals, and he'll be part of the international rules team for Australia in Perth on November 22. Tickets are available at ticketmaster.com.au or by calling 136100. Well worth being a part of that, and well worth sticking around for the second half. Sydney playing good footy, and they lead St Kilda by 40 points.